New Jersey schools are on edge, Phil Murphy signs his first bill as governor, and unemployment rates in New Jersey spike. All this and more on this episode of Hawk TV News. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Hawk TV News. I'm Vincent Caranta.
And I'm Don Kohler. In the aftermath of the school shooting in South Florida, New Jersey schools and police have been on the side of caution. Police in Little Falls were called to investigate a digital exchange between students that contained potentially concerning content, according to Superintendent Tracy Marlini. After investigation, no threat was found. Police in Bloomfield were also called after a high school student made derogatory and inflammatory reference to the victims of the Florida shooting, which accompanied a picture of the student holding a gun. The ensuing investigation determined that the picture was taken out of state in a hunting camp where the gun is locked safely away. No threat was ever made. Fake threats have also circulated in Monroe Township, while Superintendent Julia Glazer ordered Nutley schools to close for several days after a video of a local student firing a rifle and a handgun was posted on Instagram.
Governor Phil Murphy has signed a new piece of legislation that restores funding for New Jersey's family planning and health clinics. This legislation is the first official bill to become law under Murphy's administration. The governor made the announcement with supporters of the Planned Parenthood program, PRESN, who have lost state funding under former Republican Governor Chris Christie. During his inaugural address, Murphy made a call on the state legislature to restore $7.5 million in funding to the program. Murphy has also acknowledged the struggle of Planned Parenthood, saying that the previous administration opposed funding women's health as a matter of politics, not a smart policy. The new governor has encouraged voters to continue this pro-democratic push, not just on the local level, but also on the federal level, where 12 U.S. House seats will be on the ballot in races later this year.
The unemployment rate in New Jersey has been on the rise over the past few months and is now higher than the U.S. unemployment rate. New Jersey's unemployment rate sits at 5.0, while the country's rate is 4.1. The economic analysts say the increase would indicate a larger issue within the economy. Governor Phil Murphy has introduced several labor policies to boost the state's economy, such as equal pay for equal work, paid sick leave, and a $15 minimum wage.
A 13-year-old boy shot himself in a bathroom at Jackson Memorial Middle School on February 20th. School officials called 911 after finding the student in the restroom. No other students were injured. On February 21st, the boy passed away. Authorities have not released the name of the boy and whether or not the gun was shot on purpose or accidentally. The school was shut down on the 20th, but reopened on the 21st.
After a string of recent encounters resulting in death, several police departments are rethinking police policy and considering additional situation training for dealing with incidents involving the mentally ill subjects. The new trainings will look at ways officers can use less force while keeping themselves and others safe during a crisis situation. Departments will focus their new training on de-escalating situations, building trust, picking up on clues, using empathy instead of commands, treating suspects with respect, and several other new tactics. Some of the training tactics that were recommended as part of Barack Obama's task force on the 21st century policing.
On February 20th, Governor Phil Murphy praised the student survivors of the Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School shooting for their controlled protests, along with them actively using their voices to bring the controversy of gun control into the spotlight. Murphy also stated that he will sign a package on gun control legislation. His administration is looking into gun safety protocols that would help with the cooperation between school and law enforcement in order to assure New Jersey parents of their children's safety.
For Sports Update, now let's go to Jack Ribel. All right.
Look at the playoff picture. Last week we looked at the Eastern Conference, so let's take a look at the Western Conference this week. There is a deadlock at the top of the conference between the two teams that post the two best records in the league, the Rockets and the Warriors. They're both heavy favorites to win the West this year. The Rockets are led by MVP candidate James Harden, who is averaging 31 points per game this season to go with 9 assists. And he finds himself in a similar position to the one he was in last season. One of the keys for Houston making their playoff push is the health of Chris Paul. Paul is averaging 20 points to go with 8 assists. However, he has missed 18 games this year. When Paul is healthy, the Rockets are 35-6. Over to the Warriors, while they haven't had the dominating success that they've become accustomed to over the last 2 seasons, they still find themselves at the top of the league. With a starting lineup of all-stars, the Warriors are poised for a 4th straight trip to the finals. Steph Curry and Kevin Durant are averaging 26 points each, and Klay Thompson is at 20 a game. They've also had a strong presence on defense with last year's Defensive Player of the Year, Draymond Green, and Kevin Durant, who is second in blocks per game throughout the league with 1.9. All signs point to a Rockets-Warriors Western Conference final, but let's take a look at some of the other contenders in the West. After years of piling top draft picks, the Timberwolves come in at third in the West right now with young stars Andrew Wiggins and Karl Anthony Towns. Towns is averaging a double-double with 20 points and 12 rebounds and has established himself as one of the premier big men in the NBA. Fellow number 1 pick Andrew Wiggins has regressed this year, averaging 17 points. However, Jimmy Butler has averaged 22 himself. Butler's injury, however, will be a big test for the Wolves over the next few weeks. With Kawhi Leonard likely out for the season, the Spurs are likely out of contention for the finals, and the Trailblazers could pose a threat with Damian Lillard putting up at least 39 points 4 times in the last 2 weeks. It will also be interesting to see if the Big Three in Oklahoma City can come together over these last few weeks to make a playoff push. And will we see rookie Donovan Mitchell lead the Jazz to a playoff spot this year? We will find out over the next 2 months as the season concludes. Back to you guys at the desk.
We have to take a short break, but stay tuned for more Hawk TV news.
Wake up, bring on the sunny morning. Wake up, bring on the sunny morning. Wake up with us.
This is Hawk TV News, and we've got it covered.
This is Hawk TV News.
This is Hawk TV News, and we've got it covered.
On February 20th, the Florida legislature rejected a motion that would put a ban on semi-automatic guns and large-capacity magazines. This comes a week after the devastating shooting at Stoneman Douglas High School, which killed 17 people. The state voted 36 to 71 in favor of not banning the weapon, while survivors of the shooting marched to the state's capital. Many walkouts were staged at high schools around the state in support of banning semi-automatic weapons such as the AR-15 that was used in the Parkland shooting.
A lawmaker in the state of Alabama wants to propose a bill that allows teachers in the state to carry guns. This desire to create a law came after the deadly school shooting that took place in Parkland, Florida. Will Ainsworth, a Republican representative of Guntersville, Alabama, said that parents and teachers want something done to avoid school shootings. This law would allow teachers to carry concealed pistols after 40 hours of law enforcement training and mental health evaluations. Ainsworth believes that this is necessary, as there is not enough time for a security guard to respond to an active shooter. Other Alabama lawmakers do not agree. Christopher England says that the bill does not offer a long-term solution to the problem of mental illness. Governor Kay Ivey, who is a former teacher, believes that educators are busy and that another option of protection should be considered.
On February 21st, 10-year-old Giovanni Banos Moreno was killed, and his mother Leila Moreno was injured in a shooting. The shooting occurred at Ridge Avenue in Asbury Park. Police responded to the call of shots fired at 10:40 p.m., and the young boy passed away around 11:20. The boy's mother is in the hospital recovering from non-life-threatening injuries. A 16-year-old whose name has not been released because he is a minor was arrested on the 22nd, according to authorities. The 10-year-old and his mother were not the intended targets of the shooting. The prosecutor's office confirmed that the gunman intended to shoot a man who lived in the same home as the victims. The teen was arrested at Neptune High School and faces aggravated assault, conspiracy, and weapon charges. The police do not believe that he is the shooter, and the authorities are still searching for the other person involved. Authorities encourage anyone with information to submit a tip at MonmouthCountyCrimeStoppers.com.
We now go to Alyssa Wilson for some spring break planning tips.
Hey guys, for some of you, this semester has been a whirlwind of nonstop assignments, the flu, midterms, and the fluctuating weather. The hike in heat may have you ready for a vacation, and luckily for you, spring break is on its way. Today I'm going to give you tips on booking a great, affordable vacation with a little bit of time. The first thing you are going to need to do is figure out who is joining you for spring break. Whether you are doing something with your family or taking a trip with your roommates, it is important to know how many people will be joining you. Consider this: the more people who come, the cheaper the price. The next step in planning your trip is picking a location. Since March is going to be cool and full of rain, try a warm climate like Florida, California, or a tropical location such as the Dominican Republic or Mexico. Once you know how many people will be attending and you know the place you want to go, it's time to book flights and hotels. If you are looking for a place where you want to explore and examine culture, try a standard hotel. On the other hand, if you want an all-inclusive experience, then you should try and book a resort. Everything to eat, drink, and explore will be available to you without leaving the property. Do not be nervous when you see the initial prices. You're going to have to search for the mesmerizing deals. Websites like Groupon have amazing hotel and flight packages. For example, you and a group of friends can get a hotel on the Miami Strip with the flight included for as low as $400. That's a deal you just can't beat. Once you book your trip, there are a lot of other things that you should be aware of. Make sure that you are aware of the political and social climate of the place before you go. You want to make sure that when you're on vacation, that you are safe and having fun. Make sure that you are also aware of another country's laws and policies in case of any emergencies. Be aware that depending on the location of your vacation, you may have to convert your money, so make sure that you have enough. Last but not least, be aware of what items you can take on the flight to and from the location to avoid any problems at the airport. Now, if you're very last minute and it is too late to book a hotel and a flight, grab some friends and go on a road trip. You may not be in a tropical place, but you will be making some pretty great memories. Well, I hope you have everything you need to enjoy your spring break. Safe travels. Back to you guys at the desk.
Committee members in Middletown have been fighting for a ban on all things related to the business of legal marijuana. This ban would prohibit the growth, sale, and processing of marijuana within the township's borders. Governor Phil Murphy, who lives in Middletown, pledged that he would legalize marijuana within his first 100 days of office. An ordinance has been written up on this issue and will be introduced at the next council meeting.
A 76-year-old Mullica man shot and killed his wife in the hospital she was being treated in. Shortly before 8 a.m. February 20th, Raymond McKenna shot his wife during her stay at Jefferson Health's subacute rehabilitation unit. Raymond died at the scene, having killed himself, while his 74-year-old wife was taken to the trauma unit of Cooper University Hospital in Camden, where she was later pronounced dead. Neighbors in their 55-plus community were shocked. They described McKenna as calm and collected, that the couple was always together and enjoyed traveling.
We have to take another short break, but stay tuned for more Hawk TV news.
After school today, I will be dead. I can't go on any longer. Nobody even knows I exist. They pass through me like air, like nothingness. That's what I am. Nothing.
A theater in Sparta stopped a showing of Black Panther February 18th after a woman in the audience yelled a racial slur, causing audience members to shout at her. The woman was extremely intoxicated and made loud comments that upset other moviegoers, such as using the N-word. No charges were filed, but she was told to not come back to the theater. Audience members were given vouchers to return another time to see the movie.
Speaking of Black Panther, we now go to Tony Green for his take on Marvel's latest film.
Marvel Studios is at it again with the release of their newest film, Black Panther. Both critics and audiences are regarding this film as nothing less than fantastic, and some are even going as far to say that this is one of the best films in the Marvel Universe to date. But is it really, though? I'm here to review the film and give you an inside look on the newest superhero movie. Let's start with the general plot. The movie follows a very similar revenge plot that we've seen in the past, with the theme being that the children must pay for the sins of the father. T'Challa, also known as Black Panther, returns home to assume his throne as King of Wakanda after the death of his father, King T'Chaka, immediately following the events of Captain America: Civil War. Just as T'Challa is getting settled into his new role as king, a new rival, Eric Killmonger, rises to challenge him. This story plot is more or less the recycled story plot of Iron Man 2, where Tony Stark had to uncover secrets left behind by his father in order to defeat his Russian counterpart. So now let's look at the characters and the actors that portray them. Chadwick Boseman, who plays the iconic Black Panther, did an outstanding job portraying the character as someone who has studied and trained his whole life to become ruler and maintains a cool and collected composition throughout his struggle and demonstrates what it really means to be a king. Michael B. Jordan, who plays as Eric Killmonger, did a convincing job playing as an Oakland orphan with royal blood who's just simply looking for his place in the world. The rest of the cast did a wonderful job in illustrating the culture and traditions of an advanced African society. The big problem that I have with this film, though, is that there was no real character development of any kind. By the end of the film, T'Challa was more or less the same person that he was before, and he didn't really evolve at all as a character. The Killmonger was dispatched and disposed of just like every other major Marvel villain, and the supporting cast was more or less just added muscle, but didn't really add anything to the development of the story. As a final verdict, in my opinion, I found that this movie was not the masterpiece that critics are claiming it to be, but I still found it to be plenty enjoyable nonetheless. Great character portrayal and great use of cultural themes. However, a simple recycled story plot with no real twist or any major consequences and no real character development is why I give this film a solid 6 out of 10. Well, that's all I have for you today. Back to you guys at the desk.
Rouse Properties CEO Brian Harper will receive the Monmouth University's Leadership Excellence Award on May 30th at this university. This is an annual event that draws New Jersey's top real estate executives. Rouse Properties is a partner in the planned redevelopment of the Monmouth Mall. Harper has been CEO for 2 years and an executive for the firm since 2011. The company has taken the lead to redevelop the Monmouth Mall. The proposal is working its way through the Eatontown Planning Board. Monmouth Awards last year drew a crowd of more than 500.
Neptune native and chef at Bon Jovi's Soul Kitchen in Red Bank, Joshua Wiggins appeared February 20th on Food Network's Chopped. Before appearing on the show, Wiggins prepared by doing Chopped-themed drills such as researching the judges' likes and dislikes and practicing with random ingredients. Even though Wiggins was chopped in the appetizing round, he said that cooking at the Soul Kitchen was good practice for the Chopped experience.
KDC Solar is teaming up with Six Flags Great Adventure to create the world's biggest all-solar theme park. The solar farm could be ready for the park in the 2020 season. Per year, it would spare the atmosphere 1.5 million tons of carbon particles. The president of Great Adventure, John Winkler, explains that clean energy is necessary for the environment and our future. Great Adventure is joining different amusement parks, big and small, around the world that are in this solar development.
We have to take another short break, but when we return, Ryan Waldez has the latest on Monmouth sports.
All it took was someone who would insist that I just try.
Ryan Waldez.
Suddenly, everything was turned around because they judge you.
You tell them, I don't need this.
No one is going to understand.
Unless they've been through it, how can they?
Then one day you realize
You feel so hopeless.
I need help. I need help.
You feel so hopeless.
Then one day you realize,
Unless they've been through it, how can they understand?
I don't need this.
No one's going to judge you.
suddenly everything was turned around because they insist that I just try.
All it took was someone who would just
Listen.
They call me Maxie, but I prefer tripod. I was your above-average four-legged homie, and then wham, bam, minivan. Some people pity me. Now that's lame. I still run, fetch, and swim. And the ladies love me. I'm the ultimate wingman. Just don't ask me to high five.
Welcome back to your weekly sports update. Let's see how the Hawks are doing. The men's basketball team defeated MAC leader Rider 91-77 on senior night, February 22nd. The Hawks started the game on a 17-3 run and never looked back. Micah Seaborn put up a career-high 30 points in the victory. On February 24th, the men fell to Fairfield in the regular season finale 66-69. In a game that went down to the wire, Fairfield would take the lead at the free throw line with 1 minute and 17 seconds to go and held that lead to the final buzzer. The men finished the regular season with a record of 11-19. The team will head to Albany for the MAC Championship Tournament March 1st, where they will take on St. Peter's in the first round. The women also won on senior night as they defeated Fairfield 73-65 on February 23rd. In the most efficient game of the year offensively for the women, senior Rhea Spooner-Knight scored 24 points to go with 8 boards. On the 25th, the Hawks fell to Quinnipiac 77-57. Spooner-Knight had 17 points while Alexa Middleton added 10 more. The women finished with a 9-20 record on the regular season and will also go to Albany on March 1st for the MAC Championship, where they will take on Canisius. Senior Allie Wilson broke the school record in the 3,000-meter run on February 25th at the Boston University Last Chance Meet. Wilson shattered the previous record by more than 15 seconds as she finished just over 9 minutes and 37 seconds. Dylan Capwell also ran 1 minute and 47.86 seconds in the 800 meters and currently holds a qualifying time for the NCAA championships. The baseball team went 2-1 the weekend of February 23rd in the Penn State tournament. After falling 3-0 against St. John's, the Hawks notched their first win of the year over Penn State 9-8. After J.D. Andreessen tied the game in the ninth with a home run, Pete Papson followed with a long ball of his own to take the lead. Danny Long would hold on in the bottom of the inning to clinch the save. The following day, the Hawks routed the University of Maryland Baltimore County 17-5. Kyle Norman and Pete Papson had 3 doubles each, while Shane Hughes hit his first home run of the year. The Hawks improved to 2-4 on the season and will travel to Virginia to take on George Washington University in a 3-game series on March 2nd through 4th. The men's tennis team earned 2 victories on February 25th as they defeated Navy 4-2 and Villanova 4-0. After dropping both doubles, the men would win 4 singles to defeat Navy. The men would win both doubles against Villanova and picked up 3 more wins in singles to sweep the victory 4-0. Sergio Martinez picked up 2 singles wins and 1 doubles win on the day. The Hawks will go to Columbia March 3rd for their next match. And finally, the women's lacrosse team earned their first victory of the season 14-8 over George Washington University February 24th. Jenny Staines and Caroline Cordless each scored 3 goals, while Logan Smed and Alexa Smith added a pair of goals each. After starting the season with 4 losses, the Hawks got their first win, improving to 1-4 on the year. The women will go to Rhode Island for a game against Brown on March 10th. That's all I have for you this week. For more on your college and pro sports, be sure to tune in to The Extra Point right here on Hawk TV. Back to you guys at the desk.
All right, thank you, Ryan. That's all for this week of this edition of Hawk TV News. Thank you for joining us. I'm Vincent Caranta.
And I'm Don Kohler. Be sure to tune in next time for another edition of Hawk TV News.